He is Joe Reinagle. I'm Jason Minix. All this talk about Project Marvel, and the one thing that drives Joe nuts, drives me nuts, is when we hear people making an argument using information that doesn't seem correct. So we want to figure out what is the truth, what is really going on. Well, all this started, the vision for Project Marvel, when Ron Nirenberg was our mayor. And now former mayor Ron Nirenberg joining us here on the Blitz on the Buyers Barricades guest line. Ron, appreciate the time. Let's start with the obvious. Do I say former mayor, just Ron? How do you get addressed these days?
I told you to keep calling me Ron when I was in the office, and this is the reason why you shouldn't have stopped. So Ron is just saying.
Well, Mr. Mayor had a nice ring to it, so that was kind of cool. I thought a little more formal.
I was born Ron. I was Ron while I was in office, and I'm Ron now. So Joe, just keep calling me Ron.
You got it, Ron.
Absolutely. All right. So Ron, as you see what is taking place right now with the current mayor trying to have a pause on the progress as the term sheet is trying to get done. Now, the way I understand it, Eric Walsh said the other day, 7-4 council, they can move forward with the term sheet. But, and you've sat in that seat, you have a lot more information than 99.9% of the people listening. What, from your vantage point, the reason she would want to pause and what the city is actually doing right now with the city manager moving forward with the term sheet?
Well, I'll just start, Jason, and just say that the information I have is out there. I mean, it has been out there for a while. We've been having a public conversation for well over a year on this, which lines up to past efforts that we've had. And I'll also say, I really wish we would do away with the term Project Marvel. Let's just call it Project Downtown, because it really is about revitalizing and lifting up the assets that San Antonio residents enjoy every day in the urban core of San Antonio, which is one of the most important places that people convene in our city on a daily basis. The way I see it, if 7 council members or 8 council members or 6 council members want to move forward with a term sheet, then that's what's going to happen. The reality is it takes consensus to do anything in the city of San Antonio and in City Hall. And I think they will find a consensus around what looks to be an exceptional opportunity for San Antonio to elevate the landscape of our city, to elevate the experience of going downtown, and to certainly elevate and to make good on the promise of the best sports franchise in the world being located in our San Antonio area for another generation.
You know, Ron, we had Councilman Mark White on the show earlier this week, and he was talking about that, not necessarily deadlines, because our current mayor, Gina Ortiz-Jones, saying we've got a lot of time. He says it's important to get this term sheet out because the voters will vote on the county portion of it in November, so they have that information as they go to the polls. Is that how you see it?
No, I think that's right. I mean, voters deserve to know what they're voting on. And part of this is the visitor tax, the hotel revenue that's generated when people stay at our local hotels, and what that's going to do to uplift the east side, that Freeman Coliseum site, as well as contribute to a new Spurs Arena downtown. And to make sure that voters have all the facts in front of them, we need to negotiate that term sheet. And you've already heard the broader contours of what the deal is. The Spurs are going to be putting in $1.1 billion into the downtown development, which is being referred to as Project Marvel. 500 of that specifically will be going to the arena, but another 500 million is going to be guaranteeing the development in currently underutilized plots of land to uplift that area and make spaces to where the public can convene and we can enjoy being in our downtown area. There's also an additional 60-something million that will go to early childhood programs. So this is, by any stretch of the imagination, one of the largest investments by a sporting team into a local community. And a lot of people cite other communities and the dollars spent for sports teams to invest in their own facilities. This is up there with that amount of money, except it's going to a San Antonio community-owned asset. And that's nothing to dismiss. The significance of the investment into San Antonio by San Antonio Spurs is worth talking about loudly because it's a positive boon for our community.
Former Mayor Ron Nirenberg joining us here on the Blitz on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. And Ron, some of the things that I've heard from the current mayor on this economic analysis, and she wants one that's a little bit more detailed. The first one was done under your watch, and it seemed to satisfy you and the council at the time. How different would another economic analysis be if she were to do one?
Well, so let's make sure that the folks listening know what is being discussed here. And I would encourage people to read the economic impact analysis and some of the others that have been done in other communities. These are the equivalent, we've talked about it before, of the Farmer's Almanac, Joe. And it's not something you would make a budgetary decision on, but it is illustrative of the direction, the trend of doing a specific project. With this case, either a downtown sports district development, or we've done them for the airport. We've done them for things like our training initiatives. They generally tell you the spending trends that will happen, indirect and direct, as a result of a specific investment. You can do a dozen of them. They're all going to be a little bit different. The importance, though, is that it illustrates a position on it. It illustrates the economic impact of a decision, of a direction that you want to go in. It's not something that you should use to make a decision for you. So, it will be interesting to see what's in another analysis. My guess is that it will be very similar, and so where does that leave us? It still leaves us with the need to negotiate a good deal with the Spurs. And let's just talk about this for a second, you guys, because I've heard a lot of negativity around the Spurs asking for a third arena. First of all, that couldn't be further from the truth. The Spurs haven't asked for nor gotten 3 arenas from the city of San Antonio or from this community. The first place they were playing is Hemisphere Arena. That was built in 1968 for the World's Fair. Under the administration of Henry Cisneros, we started working towards a multi-purpose event venue for the city of San Antonio, also now known as the Alamo Dome. I know there was dreams about the NFL playing there. It never happened, but let's be clear about the Alamo Dome. It is the only reason why we've had more Final Fours here in San Antonio than any place outside of like the major markets that on the coasts. We are Final Four City USA, and it's because of the Alamo Dome. We've had 3 of the top 10 concerts a couple of years ago. All were happening here in San Antonio. We have the UTSA Roadrunners with an enviable home field that will continue to get more full as they win more games. But we have a facility that has performed. And, oh, by the way, it was revenue positive the day it opened its doors because it was debt-free. We have continued to put money into it so that we'll stay up to par. It's not the best-looking place in the world, but guess what? It's got great bones, and it continues to field some of the best events the sporting world has to offer, and it will continue to deliver for us so long as we improve it. Now we talk about the AT&T Center. That is I would encourage people to go read the San Antonio Express News archives. The reason why that event venue was built is because if the Alamo Dome continued to be the home court for the Spurs, which is not what they elected to do until that was the arena they had to play in, if it continued to be the home court for the Spurs, they would not have been competitive within the NBA. And so this community decided to build an arena with cooperation from the Spurs, but the city and the county were competing against each other on where to put it. And so at the time, the Judge Cryer, made an offer to the Spurs to put it over there to end the debate and finally get the thing built. And that's where they have played for the last 25 years. It's been a great thing for the Spurs. It's been a great thing for the community to have a life for the Spurs in San Antonio in the meantime. But we always knew that was not the ideal situation for the Spurs. So this whole thing started, to be honest, Jason and Joe, this whole conversation about bringing the Spurs back downtown was predicated by the fact that we've got so much going on in our city. We've got an Alamo being redeveloped. We've got Hemisphere under redevelopment. We've got, a dome that needs to be improved in order for us to continue to compete for the largest events. So we've got a lot going on in San Antonio's downtown. That's what Project Marvel is all about, is what we're trying to improve our downtown. And so when the opportunity arose with probably the easiest corner in the downtown area to get to, being available to put the brand of our city internationally, which is the San Antonio Spurs, back in the downtown area, which frankly, where I believe they belong, let's see if we can pull it off. So that's where we are. It's not the Spurs coming hat in hand demanding a new stadium. It's an opportunity for us to lift our community together. And oh, by the way, now they have offered $1.1 billion to our community to help us get it done. In my view, this is a no-brainer. It's an opportunity for us to improve downtown. The Spurs franchise is putting in a record amount of money, and the rest of it is going to be funded by visitors and tourists who stay in our hotels, rent our cars, etc. There's a lot of misinformation out there. As you can tell, I'm passionate about it because I think it's a good deal. It's frankly a better deal than I thought we probably could have gotten at the time we were initially conceiving it. And, I just think it's time for us to elevate our city, and it's going to be doing it in a prudent way that's fair to everybody.
Ron, I love the passion that you have for this. I really do. And it makes me feel a lot better about what's happening here. Spurs aside for a minute, though, Ron, I want to ask you, Project Marvel, aside from the arena, what will that do for our downtown area? Not only that, but the convention business, the hotel business, and just the beauty of the downtown area.
Well, all of these individual projects, and we haven't even talked about the potential of bridging over I-35 to make a space where people can congregate and we can have concerts, and it would actually be park space over the highway. Things like that. All of those individual projects will elevate the experience of being in downtown for a local resident. I mean, you go downtown right now, you've got the Riverwalk, you've got a lot of great things happening. Around the Hemisphere area, you've got, the new restaurants and bars that have opened up, and UTSA building a downtown campus. A lot of great stuff is happening. If we were to do that in a comprehensive way and bring transit through the middle of it, which we are with the ART that just kicked off construction a few months ago, it's going to be a better downtown than we know today. And it only gets elevated if we do it in a comprehensive way that includes the major things that people like to go to in our city, and that's where the Spurs come in. A sports and entertainment district where you can park your car or get off a transit stop and walk from to dinner while you get ready for the game, go to the game, and then go recreate downtown in the Hemisphere or wherever else you want to go in the downtown. You have a place that's walkable, that people can enjoy multiple things. That's going to only enhance the experience for local residents of their downtown right now. In terms of the economic impact, obviously, as more people spend time in the downtown area, not just residents, but visitors, that's going to impact local businesses with receipts. That's going to put, a lot more heads in beds, as they say, in hotels. And all that money that gets generated enhances our city. And a portion of that can now start to enhance other aspects of our city as we, begin to invest in these other components of a great community. So that's what the impact statements are all about, is try to forecast all that indirect activity. Again, I would say it illustrates the environment as a result of an investment. It's not going to give you a budgetary reason to approve it. Your gut, your instinct tells you that.
Former Mayor Ron Nirenberg joining us here on the Blitz on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. Learn something new. Recreate, key word for go drink after a game. I like that, Ron.
Yes, that's nice.
Always educating, which is what you're here to do.
I'm talking about going to play a basketball game with Wemby under the bridge or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, sure. But you look at, and obviously any kind of project of this magnitude, there is always going to be pushback. It seems like
Sure.
such a fair deal with what the Spurs are putting in. I'm blown away by their $1 billion commitment. But I also look at current Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones talking about some bond election that's a year from now. I wasn't aware of that because I'm keep thinking this won't cost local taxpayers money. That bond might. So what are some of the things that most of us don't know down the road that she might be looking at and talking about that are big picture, where we're looking at this PFZ zone and the Bexar County hotel tax that's going to be coming up to vote in November?
Yeah, when we say it's not going to cost local taxpayer dollars, we're referring to the tax revenues that are produced inside that zone by hotels and other, visitor taxes that right now are already being generated and going to other parts of the state. It's called a project finance zone. And when we got the legislature to approve it here, it said that we can designate a project inside that zone and we get to capture that revenue from the state. Right now, it's up to, Dan Patrick and those folks of where that money goes. We got approval from the legislature to keep it at home. But in order to do that, we've got to designate the project. And so that's what we're talking about here is that revenue now is going to stay in San Antonio. If this doesn't happen, it's already, you're going to pay it if you're going to stay in a hotel down there, but it's going to be spent in Lubbock and Fort Worth and Houston and all these other areas. I say bring it back home and let's use that to enhance San Antonio. Let's use it to create venues in our downtown area, i.e. also a Spurs arena. So that's what's happening. With regard to the bond, the arena is going to abut a public street. Those streets are going to be improved. There's also a SAW facility called the chiller plant that right now keeps a few buildings downtown cool. It's a lot more efficient to do that than buying air conditioning, by the way. And so we have had a proposal for the last 5 years over at SAWS to improve that chiller plant facility, relocate it so we can use that energy efficient, cheaper source of energy to cool buildings downtown. That part, to move that plant, is going to cost some money. So that's part of what we're going to have to pay for as a community through things like bonds, sidewalk improvements, park space, the things that we own and operate and are the obligation of the city to build and to maintain for our residents are what will be on the bond. It's not going to be stuff because of the San Antonio Spurs. And I know, look, I've been in City Hall for long enough for me to understand, no matter how well-intentioned the project is, no matter how good it will be, there will be a level of cynicism and distrust simply because it's government, and that's where we are. There's a lot of examples of bad projects in years past, and I will point to them myself. So there's a lot of cynicism, but let's make sure that facts are facts. And these bonds are for public improvements that will need to be done regardless of whether there's a Spurs arena or Project Marvel or anything else. And the level of due diligence that's been done by the city. Let me say one thing, and I probably shouldn't say it, but the chief financial officer of the city of San Antonio is the best CFO in the public sector, not just in the city, perhaps in the state, and maybe even the country. I've got to work with this guy for a long time. He works slowly and methodically, and if anybody suggests that he's not doing his due diligence, I would beg to differ and have you spend a couple of days with this guy. The due diligence that's been done by the city staff is just, let me just say, as a taxpayer, gives me confidence in that team down there.
Fantastic.
Ron Nirenberg, man, we could continue on, but we're out of time. We have to take a break. Appreciate it. Do you miss all the long meetings, or are you enjoying the gig over at Trinity?
Just getting started over there, and I'll be teaching a class, but no, I enjoy it. I enjoy handing the baton off. I know everybody down there is well-intentioned, wants to do the right thing, and they've got tough issues and decisions to make. And I encourage them to continue to work hard and do right by the community of San Antonio. That's what folks deserve, and I know that at the end of the day they will.
Ron, we can't thank you enough, my friend, for coming on and being clear about everything and educating all of us. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Good to talk to you guys.
Appreciate it. Former Mayor Ron Nirenberg on the Blitz here on the Buyers Barricades guest line, where they provide traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond. Online at buyersbarricades.com.